against both Nathan as well as Yisun Chin.
Oh yeah.
Another option is that glue, but it's probably not the priority. Yep. Again, Beatrix is still there. Go back to the Uranus. I think Onic PH can go back to Lunox. The difference, though, is that they don't have the best wave clear in the world against a potential snowball from Blacklist. This is Rafaela plus Barats. They want to push and push and push. So now, if you're Onic PH, you're looking to answer either the tankiness of both Barats as well as Lunox, or just answer the wave clear. Either way, they will have to choose only one.
My problem with the Lunox is it feels a little slow. Onic PH, they're going to have to use a huge chunk of the guiding winds to really position that Lunox. Or else, once, again, it might be the same story as Game 1 all over again, wherein they isolate one and then it all just crumbles. Let's see if they're going to fall for it. Instead, no. Is this what I think it is? I think is this mid-money? Is this mid-money?
Not entirely sure.
Paquito mid.
Hatred?
It's Paquito mid.
No, it's not. You're right. Is this a throwback to Season 8? Are they switching it up like that?
It's a throwback to Season 7, man, when Paquito was like used everywhere, right? As a roamer, but very interesting pickup here. I mean, technically, yes, it is going to be really good in that mid lane, getting some pressure then, and obviously, Farsa will be pressured constantly. But what we do need to look at from the side of Blacklist is that they don't have a reliable source of engage. They are they're relying on Onic Philippines to dive them first, you know?
Yep.
Going in for the Rafaela kiteback, going again for those prolonged fights, whereas for Onic PH, they also kind of strive in these long fights with the Yuzong, the Yisun Shin, and especially the Natan.
Yep, and if we're looking at Blacklist International, though, their lack of engage did not lose them the game in game number 1.
Yep.
They're actually masters of this, luring tactics where they bait out Onic PH. This time, though, after game 1, Onic PH, will they actually be forced into those kinds of situations? Will they be lured again by Blacklist International as we head into another pause?
An intermission before we go ahead and get into the map. Fellas, I'm not sure. I don't recall. Who was playing which? Was it confirmed?
Yes, it is. It has been confirmed. Hatred, the one on that Paquito. Very, very interesting. Once again, I agree with you. I'm just as confused as you, but we need to take a look at why possibly this might have happened. Going up against Blacklist International, the one thing that they lacked in that first game is that gap closer, all right? They didn't have anyone, technically not gap closer, but lockdown, all right? With Paquito, it adds both. You have the knockdown, you have the knock-off strike that can lock down these enemies in place, and that gap closer that you really, really need. And guess what? Onic Philippines, it's not like they're just changing their gameplay 100%. They also have that siege that they really want to go for. The Yisun Shin and Natan is going to add so much to that banana split that we already know, especially that Mountain Shocker.
Yeah, I think Onic PH, they're playing on the same strengths they had from game number 1, but this time around,
they're refining it.
They're refining it and they're adding more elements that allow them to fight Blacklist on this more fluid team fight style. Yes, game 1, they were more sustained. They wanted to stay in a little longer, maybe last 2 or 3 more ults, but it's very fluid. So is this right? Am I reading this right, Wolf? That Onic wants to fight the same way?
Yeah, fight the same way, but in a different approach.
Yes.
Well, that actually is a no, if you think about it. But at the same time, it actually helps Onic PH to solve their problems on the go. So for the previous game, it was a one-off wherein if they don't control the early stages of the game, eventually snowball into the mid-game, they will not have any ways to solve their problems. It's just there, and they will have to wait for a mistake from Blacklist International. Whereas this time, it's true that they will engage with the same approach, but this time more solutions if ever something bad happens in the mid stages of the game. This time, we might see the classic banana split. In game number 1, they didn't have any options for that. They were so all in their strategies. It was their snowball and slash deathball kind of strategy, but this time, we see both marksmen and a lot of wave clear, a lot of engage potential as well. But then again, generally weaker in the early to the mid stage of the game, which means, my God, we're going to see the banana split once again.
Honestly, right now, the banana split is going to be a really, really good way to take those early turrets. And also for those neutral objective fights, it's actually going to be really good. Again, yeah, I really like the draft coming in from Onic Philippines. But now, let's shift over to Blacklist, all right? Yep. Their composition is very much the ultimate bonding experience that we all have come to love and know. But again, it's refined. It feels like they can do much more than just that stick together kind of comp.
Yes, and in the early game, again, Onic has that problem now. But just like in game number 1, they might actually flip the script, and Onic might find more windows where Blacklist have to think on their feet. Because looking at their lineup, yes, there's a Farsa, yes, there's a Beatrix, but they're relatively dull, or there's not much teeth here in the first few minutes, right? You're looking at a Barats, you're looking at a Uranus. Like, they have to pick their fights.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just about the timing of when to pick those fights. Not just about the in-game timer, but with the items that they can have. Imagine if they do get like the Sky Helmet eventually, or the War Axe on this Barats, then combo it up with the Blade of Despair into the Malefic or Hunter Strike from this... or Demon Hunter Sword, I mean, for this Beatrix, they can tear through all of the turrets and just win the team fights and roll over Onic PH eventually. Then again, they don't have the hard engage. So we'll see. Honestly, the bigger problem that Onic PH will face now is wave clear. They do have wave clear, like Nathan as well as the Paquito, if you think about it, the Yi Shin. But then again, they kind of have to just focus on those minions. They don't have mages like Farsa, Lilia, or the Eve to actually stop this slow push, slow siege from Blacklist.
Even on a marksman-to-marksman comparison, you have the Nathan versus Beatrix. Beatrix's ults, or even a switch-up of a weapon makes it so much easier. In comparison, Nathan still has to do it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah,
absolutely. But you know, I think it's not about the wave clear. I think it's more about the range, right? Because the Farsa, with the Farsa, technically what you can look for in the sieges is you're able to zone away these marksmen from hitting the minions, right? So it's not about just the pure wave clear. Because honestly, if I'm looking at both of the compositions, they're wave clear, they're both equally good. One has more damage with the abilities, the other one goes for the old-fashioned way, like you mentioned, Leo. But it's all about that range. It's all about these dynamics from both of these matchups. The Farsa will definitely be a huge disability for the Yi Sun-shin and the Natan. But then again, they also have this Yu Zhong. This Yu Zhong that is going to be just such a nuisance once again for the Farsa. It's all going to come down to how they execute these pushes, these sieges, these everything in these team fights as well.
Yep, there's so much value eventually for this Farsa as the first pick for side of Blacklist International. It's a one-size-fits-all kind of hero. When it comes to the mid lane choices, Farsa has been one of the top priorities for teams because it is a hero that normally doesn't get banned out, and it's actually, you know, it fits almost all of the strategies because of that wave clear as well as the long-range vision that you get out, and there's also a stun. It's just really so much value for Blacklist International. To top it all off, Onic PH went for a double marksman setup, which, you know, Farsa loves to play in those kind of situations.
She just melts him, she just puts him down. But here we go. Wolf just explained exactly why Farsa is so important in the current metagame, as she was years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 2, Blacklist International versus Onic PH. It is indeed going to be a mid-lane Paquito, and I feel like it's going to play the same role as a mid-lane Cho without the CC, but more of a re-engaged tool.
Let's see, again, Beloyski is going to be instantly in that top side towards Marky. I mean, this is technically what you need. Yeah, all right. Marky's picking up that gold buff, and happy feet.
Yep. You have to time it between the Renner Blast from Oheb, who is very, very good at doing that, stealing things from out of nowhere, from other people's noses. I'm wondering when Venus is going to do the same, when Venus is going to go help out. Actually,
Haji.
not just Haji here as well. It's a 3v1. Marky may have gotten trapped, uses the flicker already, and the stun, and speeding him up, and there's the kill. First blood, brought to you by Razor, goes on over to Oheb.
Yep, very overzealous there, very overextended for Marky. He knew that Beloyski was no longer there. Technically, if Beloyski was still there, they could have gone for something. But again, yeah, Beloyski has other things on his plate. He needs to be able to secure these positions and open up the map. And there you go, Kyrie going into the enemy jungle.
Yep. Well, that's what Weiss also did.
Here comes the swing back. Level 4 Kyrie jumping in. Oheb looking low. Flicker already used up. Hatred dashing in, takes a few hits, and they disengage.
Might be pressuring the mid lane as well, as look at this Uranus just being a problem against this Yu Zhong. It's actually, when it comes to the Yu Zhong versus the Uranus, what the Uranus can do is just to cut the waves and actually not engage against the Yu Zhong, and might win that fight because of that.
Oh, Black Dragon form used up by Dilarski already. Haji retreating. Turtle secured here by the STB with the help of Kyrie. And that's going to be one down Wise. Traded out for Beloyski. Better airstrike by Haji. Dilarski taking a few hits, and they go ahead and retreat. Huge trade though, huge swings on the map.
Yeah, that's really good for the side of Blacklist International. Sure, Onic PH, they were able to steal away the turtle. That actually, now I'm confused. Because it's good for both of them, right? Kyrie getting the assist, getting that turtle, and also just scaling really well right now over than, better than Wise at this point. If you can take a look at the items, he's already building towards, oh, wait a minute.
Venus taken down. You were saying War Axe.
Yeah, all right. So he's already building towards that War Axe. And again, for Yi Sun-shin, this is one of the crucial items that you need to get early on to secure that. Those stacks are going to matter a lot, that movement speed. In the team fights, in the push, everything you do, it is going to rely on that right now. And Onic Philippines, they need to just keep on scaling until those item power spikes hit.
Yep, which really makes me think that Onic PH will try to play this slowly. As long as they're keeping their turrets, they're fine. Make sure that the mid-lane turret will not be touched by Blacklist International. However, Blacklist International, they're just going to be waiting for their timing as well. Again, if there are 2 items available for OHEV, I'm assuming this will be the Demon Hunter Sword after the Blade of Despair. Combo that up with Haji's damage out from the Clock of Destiny and the Truncheon. The siege potential from Blacklist International, especially with 2 frontliners, it's gonna be great. And Onic PH, they don't have the wave clear to stop that from happening.
And again, just in that moment earlier, this fight down here, it's a dance-off. It's 2 very chunky heroes going in mid, Haji alone, able to fight off 3 and clear the wave. That's how important the Farsa is in this game, and that's how great the wave clear is for Blacklist International at this current stage of the game. 4 minutes in, Onic PH, they want to set something up. They're blasting Haji from the bottom. Kyrie, he still has his skateboard, his eponymous skateboard.
Yeah. I think he's waiting for his purple buff, and then the turtle will appear in 3 seconds. Edward most likely will just proxy the wave, just cut it out. Or maybe even join the fight. He's actually coming forward and might be joining the fight.
Watch out! They start with a Feather Airstrike. 4 men from Blacklist International set up for the second turtle. Mountain Chakra, they know exactly where everyone is. Delarski coming in with the Black Dragon form, catches the Queen, circling Eagle, answering back, and they catch so many bullets from OHEB. That's going to be 1 down. It's a trade 2 for 1. Wise, V Wise traded for Delarski, and they're not done. They're not done. Marky tries to blast down Edward, and they disengage. So far, Onic PH able to get away scot-free.
Yeah, and not just that, they get the turtle, and now they're pushing in. Again, remember, Onic PH, they have this composition which is actually kind of weaker here in the early stages. Managing to get the lead is going to be insane. Just going even alone, or maybe even 1,000 gold behind, it's going to be fine for them. But guess what? They are in the lead right now, picking up the good fights, and look at how they're playing these team fights. Perfection. The winning condition really shining through here for Onic.
And that's because of this Yu Zhang coming up from Delarski. He did die in the clash, but he would manage to find Wise as well as Oh My Venus, and then eventually shut down Haji from popping off that feathered airstrike, and now they are beating him indeed.
They're finding him, and it's a 2v1 in mid and in top. They've switched their lanes after the second turtle, and Kyrie coming in, threatening a kill onto Edward. Same story, bottom lane, and off-camera kill. Down goes Baloyski, courtesy of Wise. Edward, he's okay, confident he's not gonna die. Take that tier 1 up top.
Yeah, absolutely. And now with the tier 1 up top, it is going to set up for the next turtle. But Blacklist, they are looking for the trade. Marky getting sniped. And this is where he needs to recall. Nope, he cancels it. Wise and Venus.
He's sandwiched. It's too much to survive. Wise gets that. And they will convert directly into this tier 1.
Oh, let's see what happens here, though.
Oh, Detna's welcome. Get in my belly. Flicker already used up. Baloysi getting spotted here. Wise still stomping away. They retreat.
What a great pickoff coming up from Blacklist International. Because of the death of Baloyski in the mid lane, there was no one to actually supply the vision for Onic PH to guard the side of Marky. And Blacklist International took full advantage of that.
Hatred so close to biting it. The huge range on this Feather Airstrike up top. Delarski still trying to take down Edward. It's Baloyski and Delarski, the Ski Brothers. Here comes the rest of Blacklist International. Circling Eagle, Black Dragon form. They answer back. OHEB with the passion. Blasting him with that SMG. And look at this Delarski. He's low. He's right in the middle of all of them. Taken down by the sniper. Point blank. Baloyski blasting away. Kyrie secures a third turtle. Was that worth it? A body for the turtle.
At this point for Onic PH, that's okay as long as it's not Marky. Hatred.
Swing back, they answer. Edward puts a few stacks of the Ionic Edge. Marky to the rescue, cutting this team fight short.
Yeah, as I was saying, it's gonna be a good trade because of the fact that it's not Marky who's dying in these fights. As long as Marky as well as Kyrie are okay, are getting all of these farm, it's okay. But then again, you have to be careful if you're Delarski. Maybe that's their last death. Eventually, Onic PH will rely on the tankiness of both Baloyski and Delarski. Both of them not having the best kind of tank ability, but that is the best that Onic PH can rely on in this game. Eventually, the lineup of Blacklist International can burst down these fighters, so you have to take note of not dying so that you'll get the farm for all those defensive items.
Oh, Wise already starting up with the Detonus welcome, cancels it, in goes Marky. That's gonna be a forward entropy, and down goes Wise. Enough firepower to go for the counter engage as Haji puts up a defensive feathered airstrike. They're not done though. The Queen says we can take this. The Queen says we can try to take this, and they're gonna go ahead and defend bottom lane. Oh, Kyrie gonna get sandwiched, and he's gonna use the passive crits onto the Filipino sniper. 2 free kills plus a turret down bottom. Onic PH back on the map.
Like we said in the draft, it is this Yu-Zong that's just been crucial in these team fights. Look at the timing that Delarski is able to use that Black Dragon form. He didn't do it initially. He waited up until Farsa was in position, then he pops it. That's where Haji, he just can't go for that feathered airstrike anymore. Now with the Lightning Truncheon build, he will do a significant more damage, but the thing is, when are you going to use that ultimate? You have to have that perfect timing and the perfect positioning. That's not going to happen, man. Delarski is just so on point with this Black Dragon form, and they're already using those pushes, those sieges, utilizing the Natan and that Isun Shin.
Watch out for the map. It's a little bit of a split for sure, Onic PH, as they want to use Hatred on the mid lane role to show the minions up top.
Oh, it's a full-on engage as Delarski has to use the Black Dragon form on a defensive way, and he's taken out by Wise on the retreat. No punish at all on the side of Onic PH as Baloyski gets stunned and still survives. Uses that flicker at the nick of time. But Lord here taken down to almost half health. Here comes Hatred. Walks into a 4-man, a 3-man. He's dashing around. Mountain Shocker. Kyrie trying to keep his mid laner alive. Feathered airstrike set in. And Hatred from the north takes him down. Traded for his own life. It's a messy team fight for Blacklist and Onic. Neither want to give up this Lord.
Well played by Onic Philippines. That should have been them losing every single time with Delarski dead. But look at the way they're able to just save time, get some time on the board for Delarski to spawn back. Sure, that was Hatred picked up, but it's a mid lane for the mid lane. Now with Delarski here, it is going to be much, much better for the side of Onic PH.
Oh man, this is crazy as Delarski really just relies on this Yu-Zong ultimate to really mess up with against Blacklist International. And then, of course, Hatred sniping Haji. Was it worth it? Because they still lost one hero for that. So 1-for-1 trade-off. I guess the answer is yes, because at least they stopped the Lord take from Blacklist International. But you have to be very careful about Onic PH. Blacklist International is a team that really punishes those trades. When the trades look favorable for Onic PH, it seems like Blacklist International just finding ways to even up the trade or even just one-up Onic PH because of their small movements in the game. For example, really just poking this Delarski Yu-Zong to the point where he's forced to use the ultimate.
Now let's take a look at the items here with Kyrie building up already the BOD, alright? This is where he is going to be so powerful. Maybe next item is going to be the Malefic Roar or the DHS considered. Yeah, it's going to be either one, alright? It's preference for the side of Onic PH.
Oh, starting it up with the feathered airstrike.
Not good.
Not good. I mean, it was used for vision. They do have that. They need that to be able to open up the map. And Haji spotted by Marky. That's a lot of damage, but Baloyski will not fully commit. Maybe once bitten, twice shy, Baloyski.
Yeah. There was a time where Marky is called the bad boy by Mr. Manjin himself, and that is the reason why.
Here we go. Circling Eagle plus the Black Dragon form Lord at about 1/5 of its health. Wise Detonus welcome. Answers back. Kyrie gets blasted with the feathered airstrike. That's the Lord secured by the Queen. There's a knockup. 3 down for the side of Onic PH. Blacklist International punishes the micro mistakes as Baloyski bites it. Edward takes his head. It's only one left. It's just Hatred.
A huge mistake for Onic PH. Not just the timing of that fight, but look at the members. Hatred was nowhere near that Lord, and they still forced it out. That was them getting overzealous, greedy, and Blacklist will completely just punish them.
Oh my god, it's not an enhanced Lord, but there's no wave clear. Again, the problem for Onic PH,
they can end.
They don't have the wave clear. They have Marky this time.
Oh, Hatred catches way too much via the feather airstrike and the Nibiru's Passion. Mountain Shocker to help clear the waves and push back Blacklist. It's not gonna end. Not here.
That is going to be so bad for Onic PH, man. They've lost that inhibitor turret in the mid lane. Remember, the side lanes are bad, but that mid lane is going to be bad, even worse here, as they're just, wait, they might just go in for the push.
They're not letting go. Look at where Edward is. He's putting so many stacks on the people. Feathered airstrike one more time. Beloyski caught out of home. There's a Tona's welcome. Get in my belly and down under the ground. Wise takes him, as well as the inhibitor turret down bottom. Top lane going to be next up on the docket for Blacklist International. They are calculated. They are taking down these turrets surgically precise. There's another feathered airstrike. Does this thing not have a cooldown? Black Dragon form force out of Delarski. They're bursting him down. He's going to survive. There's a Mount Shocker landing on all 5 members of Blacklist International, but they're not done. Hatred weaving in and out, stinging like a bee. There's a knockup. Down goes Edward. Huge punish from Onic, but the Filipino sniper takes one from the back. Pew! Ow! Kyrie goes down. Delarski as well. 3 defenders left, but it's not done. Not quite yet. As Hatred gets taken down again. Oheb, dual wielding, taking him down with Nibiru, circling Eagle by Beloyski. He's caught out. Second time in the past 2 minutes. He's still alive. They were trying to distract him, but it's not going to happen. Marky gets taken down by Haji. Max range. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a wipeout. Game number 2 going over to Blacklist International.
The Filipino sniper, what was that? Look at him. He's hyped. Don't give this man a hero with guns. Ban out the Clint, ban out the Beatrix. At this point, ban out the Layla from this man.
And I was really just amazed on how Edward used this Uranus. That Lord fight, that crucial Lord fight, I will credit it once again to both Edward and Haji. The far side Uranus combo. Uranus making sure he's top on Kyrie. And they time it well, because there is a point where Onic Philippines will be so focused into taking that Lord. When the Lord is already at 30% HP, Kyrie wants to get that last hit. But Uranus, with that timing, gets on top of this Yisun Shin, and Yisun Shin without DHS will not deal the damage to Uranus. And then Haji just pops the ultimate in time to punish Kyrie, because Kyrie is slowed down already and too focused on the Lord. That feathered airstrike will be on point for sure, and we saw them just destroy this double marksman composition once again with the artillery mage Farsa.
Man, oh man. That is amazing. The fact that Onic Philippines, they already had a multi-dimensional draft. Blacklist just outclassed them in these team fights.
2 games in a row, Blacklist taking it. Let's see what our analysts think. Back to you, LaFell and Gideon Q.
Thanks, boys. Welcome back, everybody, to the analyst stand once more. This is a pretty interesting game because overall we did see a good battle coming out from Onic's side, trying to actually split things up, and we can talk a little bit more about the draft, especially since Onic, instead of going for the traditional banana split of 2-3, they wanted to actually make it into a 4-1 with a variable mid laner.
Yeah, and this is a situation where we have to remember that both these teams, they say that they counter each other. And right now, Blacklist is really looking like they know how to counter Onic. And we have to talk about the hero selection in terms of Edward using the Uranus and Farsa. Again, they're winning the range game, because looking at the side of Onic Philippines, their draft has 2 marksmen, and the Farsa is really good against this marksman kind of lineup.
Honestly, I feel like it's just overall difficult to get in on these fights, and I think that's where you do see how Onic decided, you know what, instead of having hard counters, we do have the Yuzong. We also have the Paquito. Maybe we can use them, go in and out, try to get that instant denial, but we do see that strong peel coming from Oh My Venus.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, because again, Onic Philippines, actually a very good idea. Let's just dive them. But it makes it so difficult to dive just because of how they're dodging it around and just like kiting, and then once everything is done, we're just gonna deal more damage.
Yeah, it's honestly one of the few things that still frustrate me overall is just the fact that the drafts have been so good. Honestly, you guys should be checking these games out, and a big shout out to our travel partner, Tumi, for making it all possible. Tumi, the leading international performance luxury brand, designed Tumi esports pro level bags and accessories for gamers on the go. Guys, get yourselves one today. It's an easy buy. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the item builds and overall draft. It's been very difficult for Onic to seem to penetrate this UBE.
Yeah. Again, we have to, talking about the draft, just like you said, they turned it around a little bit, because in the first game, they really tried to focus on the early game. Now they're trying to focus on the late game, having the Natan as well as the Yisun Shin. And to be fair, Kyrie played the Yisun Shin very well. He managed to control the early mid stages pretty good, securing a lot of the turtle. But they couldn't transition well, and part of the problem is because of Uranus. I know that you don't really like this hero too much, but he created so much space that it makes the entire map open for the side of Blacklist.
That's the thing. The question is whether or not they can actually develop that space and actually maintain that line so that the rest of Blacklist, and most importantly, so that Haji can obliterate people again and again and again. Let's go check out the item builds real quick here and kind of break this down, because so far Oheb, he just continues to help pressure. When you see Peel, he whips out Renner and makes it look so easy to pick up these kills.
Yeah, and actually in this kind of situation, yeah, we got to talk about their incredible mechanics, but just, in my opinion, anyone can play that good when you have someone like Edward creating that much space. But we do have to see how Onic Philippines is almost desperate in the way that they try to engage, where Beloyski, the Larsky, and Hatred, they try to dive the backline, and the idea itself is good. I just feel like the execution is not being well placed. Belarski engaging a lot of those times, and honestly, he did get some pretty good engages with the Furious Dive. However, I feel like they could have set it up a little bit better to make sure that Blacklist, they're in a situation where they can't run away, because we have to remember, oh my Venus, with this Rafaela, he's going to help his team a lot, especially looking at this. He has the Enchanted Talisman as well as the Dominus Ice. He has a lot of cooldown. So the moment you feel like, oh, this should be fine, we can kill them very, very quickly, well, he has a little bit more time to get that healing. So it just becomes a situation where Onic Philippines, no matter what, they will not have enough damage to deal with Blacklist unless they go very, very far ahead in the early stages of the game, which the draft does not help to get early pressure in the game.
And I think we could talk about that and expand about that a little bit more. If you look at the total heal, just an overwhelming amount of pressure coming in from Oh My Venus. We know for a fact that Onic PH, when you're seeing Marky, he's doing a phenomenal job this Natan, no doubt about it. All of these members have the mechanics, however, with the composition and lineup that they have, it's all about all-inning. Blacklist International, they pull in, they pull out, they use a couple of resources, utilize a Holy Baptism, doesn't really matter. It feels like they have multiple tries compared to Onic PH, who only have one big hit.
Yeah, but the thing is, all of those damage, again, for the side of Onic Philippines, there's a lot of damage, but all of them is going to Edward, which is our sandbag. 127,000 damage out of 231. Majority of the damage is just going to him alone, and he can sustain very, very well because, again, Uranus is just going to keep on sustaining, and plus with this Rafaela, yeah, he's just not going down.
I refuse to admit that Uranus is actually a good pick, but it really is, and I absolutely don't like the hero, but truth be told, the stats do not lie in these situations. I think at this point in time, Onic PH really need to start expanding their win conditions overall. I love the idea. It's a really creative draft to get on top of Haji so far, but that Uranus has to go.
Yeah, either figure out a way to really stop him or just respect and say ban him, because again, both these teams, they know each other very, very well. So it is a situation where you do have to respect, even though it is a best of 7, you have a little bit more room to study how each other plays. I feel like getting it out quickly is the best.
All right, let's throw it over to our MVP here for this game, going over to Oheb with his 8-1 and 8. He's sending codes to all of you guys, all of the agents out there for Blacklist International, doing a phenomenal job at capitalizing on the amount of damage Edward is soaking up, the sheer peel from Oh My Venus, the artillery coming in from Haji. Oheb, the big finisher.
Yeah, whenever we're looking at snipers, they need a lot of time. They need to make sure that they know where the target is going. Hold their breath for a bit, keep the aim steady, and then shoot. And again, in this kind of situation, he has a lot of space. He just got to make sure he hits the right targets. And most of the time, he hits the right targets.
I don't know how he doesn't miss. It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous how accurate he is. We need a new stat one of these days for how many Renner shots this man has landed overall in a percentile. That would be great. But it's a bit of a struggle here so far for Onic PH, and I think, honestly, is Beatrix the least of their problems? I feel like there's so much more that they have to kind of think about, but the drafts have just been going into Blacklist favor again and again and again. We'll show you here in these highlights, and let's start with game number 1.
Yeah, looking at game number 1, and this is a situation where Onic Philippines, they really controlled the early game, and just like we said, it's mostly because they have a lot of wave clears so they can move around the map a little bit faster. But moving in the later of the game, let's look at all of the team fights. They're making it very difficult for Onic to actually chase them, even though their items have a lot of movement speed.
Well, I mean, it's not just about the movement speed, it's just the fact that they cannot find the right angles to get into this fight. Blacklist International, what people need to start realizing is that the UBE isn't about, hey, we're supporting one another. It's just the sheer reaction speed, how quick information passes between each of the members to make the most optimal decision.
Yeah, and